Can doctors use ChatGPT? Is it actually helpful, or could it be harmful? ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence chatbot created by the company OpenAI and launched in November 2022. And today we're going to test it out using a question that's often asked by physicians and non-physicians regarding a specific lab genetic testing finding, and that is inversion 9p11q13. So how would I answer it? As a lab geneticist, I would typically answer as such. This means that a section of your chromosome 9 is flipped, and chromosome 9, like many other chromosomes, has a short arm, that's P, and a long arm, that's Q. Sometimes a section within a short arm can flip, sometimes a section within a 9 arm can flip in any chromosome. And in this case, it's a section that's between P and Q that's flipped. And the consensus among experts is that this has no phenotypical effect, meaning that it's not harmful for one's health. So that's what I would say. Let's test out what ChatGPT would say. So if I just ask it as such, you can see that it explains what an inversion is, that it's a rotation of 180 degrees, meaning that it's flipped. So that interpretation is correct as far as exactly what it is. And in the end, it says that it's important to note that inversions can have varying effects on an individual's health. That's correct, depending on the specific genes that are involved and how they are affected by the inversion. So am I happy with this answer? I think this is adequate from a chatbot. It gives the correct, it gives a general description of what this event is, and then it gives a more, somewhat of a general term. Then it goes on to explain the meaning of it clinically. Then it does point, then it points out the effect can vary. So I think as a general answer, this is pretty good. Now, what if I need to explain it to a physician who got a genetic report from a lab and would like to understand more? Again, it gives the definition of what it means that the long arm and the short arm is flipped. And I think the last paragraph is quite appropriate to give to say to a physician, is that this inversion can have different effects on an individual's health depending on the specific gene that are involved and how they are affected by the inversion. Therefore, it is important to conduct further genetic testing and analysis to determine the potential impact of this chromosomal abnormality on the individual's health. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, the consensus among experts is that this inversion is benign. It has no phenotypic consequence on the carrier individual. But for a general doctor to know that this can happen, and it may have health consequences depending on what genes are involved, I think this is okay. And it does point to further genetic testing. If I were to improve this, I would say perhaps consult a genetic counselor first before directly going to genetic testing. But in general, I feel like the answer that is given to a physician is slightly more sophisticated, and it does point to and it also alert the physician of what could happen if, and it also gives, and because this is the context of a physician-patient care, it gives the alert for the physician to pursue further understanding on this finding, which I think is good. Now next, let's see what if a parent asked. Again, here it explained what inversion is. And it says, it's important to note that inversions can occur naturally and may not always cause health problems. However, in some cases, inversions can lead to issue with development or cause health concerns. If there are any concerns about the impact on an individual's health, further genetic testing and analysis may be needed to provide a more complete understanding of the situation. So it used slightly different language now when it's explaining it to a parent. It points out that this can lead to issues, but it may not, which is fair. It then points to pursue genetic testing and analysis. Again, if I were to write it, I might recommend consultation first. And one thing to point out is, as I was preparing for this video, I tried these questions several times. Each time the answer is slightly different. It always gives the content of some level of ambiguity and recommend further testing or seeking advice in the last paragraph. But the exact content, the exact things that it recommends vary slightly when I type the answers in different occasions. So this is the last question I would like to ask. How to explain to a child? And I think this version of the answer is quite decent. First, it says, this is a scientific term used to describe a particular type of genetic change that can occur in our cells. It's not always easy to understand, but I'll do my best to explain it in simpler terms. And then it goes on to explain what are cells and what are chromosomes. What do chromosomes carry? And then what can happen when a chromosome is rearranged. In this case, a piece of chromosome 9 has become turned upside down or inverted, and this can affect how the genetic information on that chromosome works. And it says, while it may not always cause health problems, it's important to monitor individuals who have the genetic change and potentially seek medical advice to ensure that any potential health concerns are addressed. Remember, everyone is unique and special, and having a genetic change like inversion 9 does not define who a person is and their value in the world. And you can see that when it's trying to explain this to a child, it builds more background and uses much simpler terms, and it speaks in a way that's more calm, because potentially the child is the person carrying this inversion. So you can see that the way it speaks is quite different if it's explaining it to a physician, to a parent, versus now speaking to a child. And it reassures the child that everyone is unique and special, and having a genetic change like this does not define who a person is or their value in the world. So how do I like these answers? I think they're fairly good. As a healthcare professional, at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to check the accuracy of what we tell our patients. And nowadays, we all know social media is flooded with misinformation. Scientists and physicians often feel frustrated because the truth, the facts, the real science, it's complicated to explain. However, I would say any tool that can help us explain things better, any tool that can package and arrange our factual statement in a way that can most effectively get absorbed by the audience is going to be helpful. And I can see ChatGPT playing that role. So that's it for today. I hope you find it interesting and helpful. I want to thank my son for letting me borrow his Lego pieces to build the chromosome to demonstrate inversion to you. If you find it interesting, that's great. I hope you come back and visit me next time. Bye!